Hi, my name is Amanda Vanden Elzen with Almighty Emu Crafts, and due to popular demand, I'm making a how-to video for you today on how to make soap. And this is going to be making soap from its basic principles, oil and lye. This is not going to be one of those just melt and pour, because I believe in using all natural products, so I want to make sure that everything is as pure and true as I expect it to be. So today I'm going to make some coffee scented soap. I've already soaked some coffee grounds in olive oil, and then I have filtered out the coffee grounds, so all I've got is olive oil that's kind of been marinating some coffee grounds, and now it's retained a lot of that color and it smells like coffee. That's going to be really good for skin. Caffeine is a great thing for your skin, and coffee in general has a lot of good principles for soap. What I've also got for oils, I've got shea butter, some castor oil. I'm going to use some more extra virgin olive oil to offset what I don't have from getting that coffee scented oil made. And then I've got coconut oil as well. All of these have different principles which are going to be really nourishing for skin. Then I've got sodium hydroxide, which is high quality lye. I've got a container to mix that with water. I have a digital thermometer that's going to be really important for making sure that our oils and our lye mixture are at the right temperature when they're mixed. I've got a digital scale, which is extremely important. If you don't have enough oil, you can end up with, bad soap that can burn you with too much lye, or vice versa. If you don't have enough lye for all the oil you're using, it can be really greasy and not very effective at cleaning. And then, of course, I've got the soap mold as well as a container to melt my oils in, especially the shea butter and the coconut oil, as those are not in liquid form yet. So I've got a recipe that I've used before. This is my single batch or my double batch. But I am just going to use a single batch. I'm just going to fill one of my molds today. So I've got my coconut oil, my shea butter, olive oil, castor oil. I'm going to leave out the honey today. That's normally used after the saponification process, just for some scent. But with my coffee scent, I'm going to leave that out. I do have some additional coffee scent if it's not as strong as I want it to be. And then I've just got lye, of course, to offset that and make sure that we go through that saponification process, which makes that oil into soap. So I'm going to just measure out my grams of oils here and get it in the pot, and then I'll check back with you. All right, so I've got all my oils measured out. I actually ended up having a lot more coffee scented olive oil than I expected to, so I've actually made a double batch instead of a single batch. So I doubled all of my oil measurements, and I've got everything so far as oils go in here. So I've got my coconut oil, my shea butter, my olive oil, my castor oil, and then now I've just got to figure out how much lye I need. So in my regular recipe for a single batch, I need 95.5 grams of lye to saponify this much oil and leave a little bit of extra fat just to make sure that it's still nourishing for your skin and that you don't end up with anything too harsh that can actually give you a chemical burn. So what I've got now is my kitchen scale. I'm going to tear it out, and then I am going to just very slowly add lye to my mixture, or to my measuring cup here. Now lye is going to be something hazardous. It's not something that you want to handle with your bare hands, so always be very careful while you're pouring out your lye. And I'm just going to measure out 95.5 grams twice. All right, so there's 95. I'm going to tear it. All right, and that should be good at 97. I rounded up on all of my oil, so I'm not worried about 1 gram being different. So on this, I'm going to tear this, And I am actually going to pour this all into a different container just to make sure that I can add my lye to my water as opposed to adding my water to my lye. If you add your water to your lye, you risk the potential of it splashing on you, which could be dangerous. So let me get this poured out into another container, and then I'll meet back with you. All right, so we're back, and I've got my lye in a separate container, and I do have some water added in. I have roughly about the same amount of water as I do lye. Now, how much water you put in is really not that important because the water is going to evaporate out of the soap anyway. So you're actually going to have no water in your finished product, but that's going to be the delivery system for the lye into the oils. The less water you start with, the more consistent of a soap you're going to have, the harder a soap you're going to have right away. So if you plan on letting it cure for a couple of months, you can use more water, but I like to let mine sit for about 2 weeks, and therefore I start with about the same amount of water as I have lye. So what I'm going to do is just very slowly, I'm going to add my lye to my water, and this is going to cause a chemical reaction. It does get very warm. You can see it's kind of fizzing up here. Apparently I've got a lot of static inside my jar here. There we go. I got a couple little lye balls in here, but that's fine. I'd rather have too little lye than too much lye in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slowly whisk this. Make sure it dissolves all the way. Apparently I had spiders living in my whisk. Those are going to be dead. I'll pick those out of the soap, but I'm not putting my hands in the lye. And I do have an open window right over here because this does give off a gas as it heats up. Whew. All right, I'm going to put this outside and I'm going to let it start cooling down. All right, so I've got my lye outside cooling because, like I said, it does get really warm with that chemical reaction. So in order to get this mixture all together, my oils and the lye that's outside, I need to have them very similar in temperature in order for them to behave predictably. So what I've got here is some liquid oil, some solid oil, some kind of gooey coconut oil. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure I've got this all liquid by bringing it up to temperature here. And I'm just going to cook this over a low heat in order to bring it up to temperature slowly. I want to keep this as close to about 100 degrees as I can. Now the coconut oil is really pretty close to liquid at room temperature. It's kind of this gelatinous, gooey mess. But the shea butter is rather hard, so I might have to heat it up a bit and then bring the temperature down in order to get rid of some of these bigger chunks. So I'm going to get this to where it's all liquid, and then I will check back with you. All right, thanks for bearing with me. I've got my oils all melted down, and as you can see here, I'm up to 138 degrees in my oils, or about 140 it looks like even. So I've got some time to let this cool down, and my lye outside is still quite warm as well. So I'm gonna wait until this is around 100 to, I would say, about 108 degrees. I really don't want this to exceed 110 degrees in either my lye mixture or my oil mixture when I try to mix everything together. So I'm gonna try and aim for like that 108 degree window. So I'm gonna let this cool down and I'll check back with you as soon as I've got everything cool.